Okay, so what resolution should you shoot in? So it depends on what you're doing or how visually crisp you want your image and stuff like that. It also depends on if you want to be able to crop in on your footage in your video editing software and still have it look pretty high resolution. And so essentially, if you're just filming like this, and it doesn't have to be any crazy level of quality. Like right now I'm filming in a pretty low quality recording setting just because I don't really want... I don't want large file sizes for when I'm just doing this stuff. And so it's not like super duper, it's not super serious work. And so it's like just filming at like a low data rate, 24 frames per second, regular HD. So it says FHD, I assume that this is 1080p, you know what I mean? So just doing like a regular 1080p HD, nothing crazy. If you're just doing like some talk and stuff like this on YouTube, might be just fine. If you're doing like some professional freelancing work, maybe you're going to want to shoot in like 4K, or really just like if your client has certain requirements or specifications, then you might be shooting at higher resolutions. Another thing is if you're shooting something, even if it's something like this, and you want to be able to do a bunch of cropping in and stuff like that, you know, maybe you want to crop in for more of like an up-close shot, but you still want it to look like higher resolution, like you don't want it to look like super, you know, poor, low-resolution quality, then maybe you'd want to film at a higher resolution, like 4K or 6K, so you could crop in and still have it look, you know, visually crisp enough, right? And so these are different things to consider depending on what you want to do or what your level of quality requirements are for what you're doing or what you want to be doing. But for a lot of stuff, it's like a lot of it might just be kind of overhyped depending on like what you're doing. If you're doing, like, if what you're doing is woodworking tutorials, it really might not need to be in 4K or anything above that. Like for a lot of things, maybe just 1080p HD is fine, you know, and like maybe that's just good enough. And also, like, if people are just watching stuff on phones, can people really notice if it's in 4K or 1080p HD when it's you know, cutting something on the saw or mowing a lawn or talking about, you know, your latest cooking recipe? Like, does it matter, you know? And also think about it, like, do you have a lot of storage space on your computer? Because for me, this is more of one of the things that I have to deal with right now is, like, I don't have a whole lot in terms of, like, you know, video storage space, because that can get filled up pretty quick if you're filming at, you know, high data rate, high resolution, high color depth, all these different camera setting options. Your file sizes can get pretty big pretty quickly. So for me, it's easier, it's more like, what's the word? It's more efficient or more, it allows me to make do with less storage space right now by filming at a lower, you know, recording quality. And I don't necessarily need anything crazy, just something that's like good and ideally doesn't take up a whole lot of storage space on my computer. That's something that's kind of ideal right now. Because do you want every YouTube video that you shoot over like 20 minutes, or say you're shooting like an hour-long video, do you want that to take up 40 gigabytes on your hard drive, or would you prefer it only took up like 12 gigabytes on your hard drive or your solid state drive? And like, do you want to keep buying all these external hard drives if you're just doing like woodworking tutorials, or are you okay with like filming at a little bit of a lower quality level and just, you know, not having to spend as much money on storage drives? Like, this depends on your own decision making here. Like, what is the decision that you want to make for what you're doing? If you're doing client work, you might not have as much of a choice. You might just have to buy more hard drives and film at higher resolutions and all these other things that take up more space. And that just might be how it has to be. But if you're just doing the YouTube thing, then, you know, do you care about all these extra bells and whistles and visual things, or do you just want it to look like good enough and not take up a crazy amount of space on your computer? So anyway, I will end that there. Don't think that you have to shoot in 4K. At the end of the day, like, to kind of talk similar to how Marcus Picks talks on YouTube. He's one of the people that might really not necessarily speak against 4K, but just not give in to the hype of it and just have more of a general preference to 1080p HD, just because he'll talk more about how what makes something great in terms of like a good film or a good video or whatever is not whether it's in 4K or not, but whether like there's a good story. And he'll talk a lot about lighting, things like that, because you could have a really bad shot, and if it's in 4K, it just might be a really high resolution bad shot. Or you could have a really good shot that's in 1080p HD, and it might look just great or just fine in 1080p HD, which is not 4K, but it might just be fine. Like it's like 4K and 6K and all of the Ks. At what point is it overhyped? So anyway, I will end that there. So if you have more questions about cameras, feel free to join my Skool Community. Link in description. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.